Star Wars Episode VII, quite possibly the most popular Star Wars related thing to talk about right now. People have been asking a lot of questions regarding it. With that said, I'm counting down the top 10 Star Wars Episode VII storyline possibilities. Number 10, Crimson Empire. Crimson Empire mainly stars members of Palpatine's Red Guard elite force, trying to hold the Empire together after Palpatine's demise and Return of the Jedi. Why I think this has potential for a movie is because it focuses mostly on the everyman in the Star Wars saga. The books, the movies, and the comics mainly focus on either bounty hunters, Jedi, or smugglers, and it brings to light a couple of questions a lot of people don't think about. That maybe the demise of Palpatine wasn't a good thing for everybody. Maybe there were some people who actually felt loyal to him in a way where they actually would feel sad if he died. And I think that really says a lot about the Star Wars universe. It brings to light all sides of a certain point and really shows how every action, no matter how noble or how dark, could have a negative reaction despite the intentions. And I think that's a good basis for a really good story. Crimson Empire. It doesn't always have to be about Jedi and smugglers, you know. Number 9, The Swarm War. The Swarm War is a very interesting series of events. The Swarm War is basically about this colony of insect aliens trying to spread their influence to the outer reaches of space. But unfortunately, the Chiss Ascendancy is not happy about that because it goes to their borders. As far as a movie goes, you could really have a field day with certain alien effects and a lot of interesting technology, mostly due to the fact that they use devices unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen. The Swarm War also has some pretty interesting action, with Dark Jedi leading this colony to try and conquer Chiss space. Now this story is pretty weird, so it probably won't be made into a movie, but I do think you could actually go somewhere with this. Swarm War. It's not bad to be bizarre, you know? Number 8. Fate of the Jedi. A lot of you guys probably do know about this series because it is pretty recent. Fate of the Jedi takes place 45 years after the Battle of Yavin, and Luke Skywalker is actually sent into exile because the new Chief of State Dahlia is prejudiced against Jedi. But it actually unfolds into something far bigger than that. Do all you Star Wars fans who watch the Clone Wars remember the Mortis trilogy? You know, that series of episodes where Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Ahsoka go to the Mortis monolith, discover the Ones, the father, the son, the daughter. That just really gets to the heart of what the Force is and what it can truly do for the galaxy, the whole struggle between the light, the dark, and the balance. Great series of episodes. My personal favorite saga in the entire series. Well, Fate of the Jedi actually ties into that story. Think about this, guys. There's a father, there's a son, and there's a daughter. But what happened to the mother? Well, there was a mother on Mortis, this insane being called Abeloth. The Fate of the Jedi not only has a lot of pseudo-political elements, such as how the Jedi should serve the Republic, if the Chief of State is wrong, should the Jedi question them, but it also follows Luke's own personal journey into discovering what Mortis is, and as the Jedi Grand Master, how he can meet this new threat. Also, it has probably the rarest thing you can imagine in a Star Wars story, an alliance between Sith and Jedi. The story of Fate of the Jedi really does open up a lot of possible arcs for a movie, and although I know this story is very recent and probably won't be made into a movie, I will say though that it is at the right time where the actors, like if the old actors were to come into the movie, they would be the right age for this movie because it takes place so long after the Battle of Yavin. Fate of the Jedi. Political and mystical, never blended so well. Number 7. Leviathan. Okay, just hear me out here, people. Leviathan's a short story about how Luke's new Jedi Order is still in the process of being made on the temple on Yavin 4. Unknowingly, a group of miners on a distant planet discover an ancient Sith beast called the Leviathan, a giant dark side monster that feeds on the souls of the living. Luke dispatches a young Kip Duran and Dosk 82 to the planet to try and investigate, but unfortunately they get tangled into a mess far greater than they thought would happen. Now listen here, guys. We all know that the new Star Wars movie is going to be bringing in new, younger actors to fill in certain roles. It's unavoidable. But the reason I think this could be made into a decent movie is because it stars young Jedi almost entirely through and could be a great way to include new actors. Luke Skywalker and the other gang are still involved in this story, but they're mostly into the mentoring role, kind of teaching them and guiding the young ones into becoming Jedi themselves. And honestly, I think that's a good basis for a movie. Although Leviathan is a very short series and yeah, it's Jedi battling a giant monster, I mean, I'm sure they could stretch it into a movie somehow. And hey, it's a comic book. They can make things up as they go. Why not? Leviathan. It's a short story, but I think it has potential. Number 6, Jedi Academy. No, I'm not talking about the awesome PC game where you play as Jade and Core. I'm talking about the book series. The Jedi Academy book series is a very old trilogy of books, basically about Luke founding his new Jedi Order on Yavin 4 and training a lot of newcomers in the ways of the Force. Now, you might think this would be a good basis for a movie in and of itself, but things get worse. The old ancient Sith spirit of Exar Kun, previous previously seen in Tales of the Jedi, finally awakens in the Yavin 4 temple after 3,000 years of confinement. Now, if they were to make a movie out of this, they would have to go to the trouble of introducing Exar Kun, but then again, this was technically Exar Kun's first ever appearance, so I think if they tweak it a little, they could definitely make this into something worth watching. Again, it would be a good way to star younger actors, and it would be able to introduce an aspect of Sith sorcery, which honestly hasn't really been seen very much in the movies, so I think that could be a very interesting turn. Jedi Academy. Who says the movie has to star a new Sith? It could just be a really old one that we haven't seen yet. Number 5. The Thrawn Trilogy. Popularly considered as Episode 7 in and of itself, the Thrawn Trilogy is one of the most famous Star Wars stories ever made. Taking place only 4 years after the Battle of Yavin, the Thrawn Trilogy basically focuses on Grand Admiral Thrawn's attempts to remake the Empire in his own image. Luke Skywalker and the rest are still struggling to found the New Republic, mostly because it's so soon after their victory on Endor. Thrawn as a character is very complex. He's actually very similar to Count Dooku in his way. He's very stoic and he's very noble, and he holds himself in pretty high esteem. He is really like a count in many ways, often seeing himself as more intelligent than everyone else, even tricking the mad clone Joruus C'baoth to use his battle meditation skills to help his fleet. I think Mara Jade and Luke's dynamic in this story can make for a very good movie, as well as Joruus C'baoth being actually kind of a placeholder for Emperor Palpatine in a lot of ways, a mad dark side individual who... The reason this story probably can't be made into a movie, unfortunately, is because, well, it takes place only 4 years after the Battle of Endor, but since they're making this new movie and it's just been so many years since then, it's probably too late to make this into a movie. The Thrawn Trilogy. If only they made Episode 7 a little sooner, we might have actually have seen this on the big screen. Number 4. Dark Empire. One of my favorite Star Wars comic series ever written. Dark Empire takes place 10 years after the Battle of Endor, and as I'm sure a lot of people know, the main focus of this story is the return of the Emperor. That's right, for all of you who don't know, Emperor Palpatine actually survived the explosion on Endor. Well, he sort of did. Basically what ends up happening is Palpatine actually transfers his spirit into the body of a clone that he has grown on Biss. This story also has one of the best dynamics with Luke Skywalker and Leia Organa Solo I honestly think has ever been written. Luke Skywalker tries to destroy Palpatine by pretending to be his apprentice, but unfortunately, as we all know, that if you start down the dark path, forever will it encompass your destiny, and that is unfortunately what happens to Luke. Thankfully, Leia is able to save him when she unlocks her Force potential. What I honestly think makes this story so good is because everybody has their own personal arc. Luke Skywalker as a Jedi Master trying to discover what made his father go dark, Palpatine trying to rebuild his empire and trying to cope with having to transfer his essence so many times, Leia unlocking more mysteries into the Force and trying to become a Jedi herself. But unfortunately, this series has the same problem as the Thrawn Trilogy. It was made only 10 years after the Battle of Endor, and since the actors that they're getting for this new movie are so much older, interestingly enough, there have been rumors floating around that Ian McDiarmid, who played Palpatine, will actually show up in Episode 7. Now that doesn't mean he'll be in a clone body, it could very well mean he'll just be an evil spirit, but that is an interesting thing to think about, so that is part of the reason I would say this has a better chance of being made into a movie than the Thrawn Trilogy does. But, like I said, we'll just have to wait and see. Dark Empire, one of the few cases where resurrecting an old villain produces something great. Number 3. Legacy of the Force. One of my favorite Star Wars book series ever written. Legacy of the Force takes place 35 years after the Battle of Yavin and basically deals with Han and Leia's oldest son, Jason, falling to the dark side. Now this book series is incredibly complex, and I honestly wouldn't have time to explain all of it in one video. Honestly, if you haven't read this, I highly recommend it. Darth Caedus is different than most Sith Lords. He doesn't inherently see himself as evil, but he mostly sees himself as the new savior of the galaxy. Another good factor to this series as well is there's just so much going on and everybody has their own personal arc. Jason becoming Darth Caedus, Jaina having to cope with her brother turning evil, Luke having to cope with possibly losing his son, as well as losing his wife Mara. Legacy of the Force. Seriously, just read it, you'll see what I mean. Number 2, The New Jedi Order. Now this honestly is most likely the candidate for the new movie. The New Jedi Order is about Luke Skywalker fully establishing the New Jedi Order in the new galaxy, as you could probably imagine. Luke Skywalker takes up the title of Grand Master of the Jedi Order, and he establishes not only a new Jedi Council, but rebuilds the temple on Coruscant. The New Jedi Order also deals with one of the biggest events in Star Wars history, the Yuuzhan Vong War, basically an intergalactic species of aliens whose entire culture is based off organic technology. In a war that spans 5 years breaks out among the galaxy. Species are extinct, Jedi are killed, planets are destroyed, Coruscant even gets captured for a time. It's very intense. And this honestly has amazing potential for a movie. Even in this series, Luke's Jedi Order isn't as big as the old Jedi Order. Another reason I think this would be good for a movie is it would show Luke becoming more of a mentor instead of a warrior, and I think that's honestly a good place for him. There's also tons of great characters that are in this series. Jason and Jaina Solo, Lobaka, Tahiri Vela, Saba Sabatine, Corran Horn, Kip Duran. They're all great characters. And the New Jedi Order is honestly most likely the story arc they're gonna pick for the new movie if they're taking directly from the expanded universe. But then we get to number one. Number one, something completely unrelated to the expanded universe in any way and will be a completely original story that has no prior connection to the EU. And this is why we're here. I thought I would open with 9 other things that have to do with the EU before going to this one. You see, this is what I think Episode 7 and pretty much the sequel series in general will be based on. Look, the fact of the matter is this, people. This new movie will probably be completely original. It will be a completely new story, a completely new situation, completely new characters, completely new everything. Now, I know a lot of people don't want to hear this. A lot of people are actually upset that this has been hinted at. A lot of people want certain story arcs from the EU to be based into this new movie. But here's the thing. Not everybody has read that novel, or read that comic book, or played that game. But everybody has seen those movies. And as far as Star Wars goes, the movies are the most canon thing in the entire series. Comic books, video games, books are just icing on a cake. Listen, the movies are the main meat of the series. Now listen, although there are tons of books and tons of comics based off what would happen after Episode 6, in actuality, the only reason that they were made is because nobody thought they would make an Episode 7, 8, or 9, but now they are. What this basically means is it's gonna give them the freedom to do whatever they want. And a couple of producers have said that there's gonna be new Jedi. So the new Jedi Order is probably gonna be named, and it is probably gonna be on Yavin, but whatever battles they fight and whatever threats come their way are probably gonna be something we've never seen before. In the long run, this is gonna be more remembered than this, because this is in the same family as those, and those take precedence over all else. You know, it could be Luke Skywalker versus Space Jaws with lightsabers instead of teeth. You know, that would be stupid, but it would be original. Star Wars Episode 7, the main word for the people is original. And you know what? That is pretty cool. So that concludes my Star Wars Saga videos I've been doing. Oh my god, the response I've been getting for these has just been amazing. You guys have just been so supportive. I've been getting so much support and love for these past videos I've made. I am honestly, truly thankful for all the support you guys have been giving. And for all you hardcore Star Wars fans who just watch my videos just for Star Wars, before you click that unsubscribe button, let me just tell you, this is not the end of my Star Wars videos. I'm still gonna do Star Wars videos like the ones I've been doing, but not one after the other. I'm still gonna be doing them, but just not consecutively, because, you know, I like to mix it up. Here's my question to you guys. What do you want to see next? What kind of geek debate questions do you want answered? What kind of descriptions do you want? What franchise would you like to see them on? I will answer any questions or give any descriptions. If you want more top 10 lists, please suggest them to me. I'm always open for suggestions. That's gonna be for the future, because my next 2 videos are something I've always wanted to do. I wanna do a versus video. I want to take 2 characters who I really like and pit them against each other. I'm not going to tell you who they are, but I will tell you this. The first one's going to be about 2 comic book characters from different companies, and the one after that, for all my Star Wars fans, is going to be about 2 Star Wars characters who are very popular. Well then guys, that concludes my Star Wars Saga videos. Stay tuned for those versus videos. I'm really excited to do them. Please leave any suggestions in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.